start with Pat Steinberg.
Hey, Gio. I know that we don't know and we haven't even seen you on the ice as of yet, but if Rasmus Andersson does end up being your D partner to start or for a good chunk of the season, can you just talk about what you have learned from playing with him over the last couple of seasons and kind of the progression you've seen and where he sits right now entering another full NHL year?
Yeah, no, I think playing with Razzie, I've played a bunch of games. We've played together in a bunch of different situations and a bunch of different games. I think the one thing that obviously sticks out most to me is his poise with the puck. I think a lot of our young D-man, him, Valimaki are the two guys obviously who stand out, have that poise with the puck and that ability to make plays under pressure. And that's not an easy thing to learn. I think it's a huge asset, and Razzie's one of the best under pressure. So to have him, regardless of who pairs, I think it's going to be great, and I think our D sets up to have a lot of depth, so it's looking good for us.
Gio, good to see you. I was just wondering, how did your normal non-pandemic year off-season training compare to the time you guys have had off since August, and just how you're feeling going into like the medicals and the testing today?
Yeah, at the start it was a little bit different, not having a set date. I think every year, every off season, you usually have that set date, and you build up your off season plan according to that. But this year was a bit different. So at the start of the summer, it was we were just going through normal workout phases, and then we sort of had a good idea as players when we were going to start as it got closer. So for the last couple of months, we've been pretty dialed in. It was going to change by weeks, not months anymore towards the end. So it feels the same now. It feels very similar. Obviously, it's going to be a short camp. So we've dialed it up. There's been some pretty intense practices and skates that us, just the players, have had. And I'm sure once we get into camp with the coaches and all the staff, it's going to even ramp up even more.
All right, Tyson Fetter.
Hey, Mark. I guess so. One of the questions I've got is in regards to last year, of course, with the bubble scenario in Edmonton. A lot of players, of course, once they got deep into the playoff runs, some struggles with not being able to see family. But this time, it's going to be a little different. Playing at home, you will be able to see family, your kids, things like that. Is that kind of a bit of a benefit this time around compared to, say, last year in the summer in Edmonton?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think, from a player side of things, obviously thinking about seeing your kids and your family is number one and going to be really important. But also little things that, like pregame meals and being able to order from your usual restaurant that you eat your pregame meals at, or have your home cooked meal for home games. And then hopefully we can set something up on the road as well that is more suited to what we're used to as far as that side of things. And again, I'm optimistic and hoping for the best, obviously, with this pandemic. And hopefully as the season goes on, the numbers keep going down with the coronavirus and restrictions will become less and less, and we can get back to our normal routines outside of the rink.
Ryan Leslie.
Mark, this is a group that, as we know and have heard, has been through a lot. It's a motivated group, and it's also a deep group that seems to know one another, even with new faces. So I wonder what's different this time around for you as you look at all of the factors from your age to this group to the window that is open. What is the message that you guys have internally, and why is it different?
Well, yeah, I think if you just look at some of our core players, some of our top guys on our team, and you look at our situations, there's a lot of different things as players you look at, but I think Tree's done an unbelievable job of, obviously, we had some huge pickups in free agency. We made a lot of depth signings as well. And, we're pretty smart guys. And when it comes to knowing that there's not many years left on some of our contracts, we have to make something happen, and we know it's a great opportunity this year. We know it's a shortened season, but having the Canadian division, and basically the goal has to be to win your division. And if you win your division, what I mean by win is come out of your division in playoffs. You're in the semifinal or the conference final, whatever you want to call it. So we have a lot of guys we've been here for a while. We haven't had the success we need to have in playoffs, and we need to change that.
Hey, Mark, Happy New Year. I'm just wondering, during a year of this nature, how important practice is and practice habits are when games are compressed and when you're playing teams so many times. Yeah,
it's huge. I think, in years past, when you have a 21-day camp, there's been that tendency of, not just only our team or every team, you sort of build up and build your way through camp until right to the end. For me, and I know for our guys, we know that, starting tomorrow, that on ice session, the attention to detail has to be really bang on. And you have to force yourself as a professional to make sure that every little play in practice, every little pass means something, and you're sharp and you're crisp. And then, I know we're going to have some inter squad games too. Those are just as important as well. I mean, you're going to have to get on the body a little bit against your own teammates. Obviously, we're not going to go out there trying to hurt each other, but get those bumps, get the, the feel of a battle in there, and get our conditioning up. So it's a real important camp. It's going to be really short, obviously 10 days, but plenty of time to get prepared for that first game.
Hi, Gio. You referenced the Canadian division. So I guess, how do you feel about the prospect of playing a team potentially 9 or 10 times? What's the impact of that going to be?
Yeah, well, I think, it's the Canadian division is really exciting for a lot of, obviously, the fans. I think a lot of the players are excited to see what it looks like. Definitely a lot different of, playing a team 9 to 10 times a season. So what that's going to do, I think, for us and for all the teams really is you're going to have to come up with different sort of strategies and ways to mix things up. I think when you're seeing a team, especially when you're seeing a team 3 times in a row or 4 times in a row, little things like the way you kill penalties, the way you are on the power play, the way your face-offs are drawn up, teams are going to be able to scout that through video. So you're going to have to change things up and have a lot of different plays in your book. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be, I think, especially for us in the Canadian division. I mean, growing up, I know I always loved watching Canadian teams play, and I think there's going to be a lot of excitement, especially in our country.
Thanks.
Darren Haynes.
Hey, Mark. When you're not in the bubble, there are more risks. So we saw what played out in baseball. Teams were off for 10 days at a time. In the NFL, they moved games around. I think Denver played without a quarterback. New Orleans is playing without running backs today. There's risks. As captain of the team, what's your role or what's your message to the players around that topic, and kind of, just to make sure that you guys keep your team together throughout this compressed season?
Yeah, well, first off, you have to be smart and safe. You're looking out for, obviously, yourself and your family, but also your other teammates and essentially, other teams in the league as well. I mean, you don't want to be the guy who goes out or goes to a get together and gets the, unfortunately, we've seen it happen in other sports where guys get infected and then a bunch of guys on one team have to be quarantined. So you have to be really aware of that, really smart about that. I think the rules the league has put in place, what our trainers have put in place as far as masks and sanitation and where we can and can't go are really important, and it's really important to follow. So, as a captain of the team, there's a fine line. You want to be able to get the guys together when you can and have that bond that you can get sometimes having your team together. But at this time, it's not realistic, and we know we're not allowed to be in big groups. So we'll follow all the protocols and be as safe as we can. And that's a big threat and a big scare for teams is, you know, the virus getting into your locker room and shutting you down.
Peter Lamardius.
Hi, Gio. Even in your skates, you talked about the depth that Brad has added. I would ask you a couple of things. Do you sense that this is the deepest group that you've been a part of? And has that even changed the feeling of maybe internal competition that you've seen in skates leading up to the official start of camp?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on, Pete. Right from goaltending on out, you know, with Ritter and Markey back there, and then you go through our decor and the depth and the competition. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised of the depth we have and the additions we've made. How these guys are going to play. I think even young guys on the back end who've been skating with us. You know, a guy like Mackey comes to mind. It looks like he's pretty close to being ready to play. So there's going to be a lot of internal competition. And up front, I was just looking through our, you know, it's funny, you get the training camp roster and the teams and all that the first day here, and you look through just basically the number of forwards we have. And to me, it looks like we can go 5 lines deep, to be honest, and five lines deep that can all play on any given night. So there's going to be a lot of competition. I think that's great for our team. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting camp for sure, because there's a lot of guys fighting for some spots and some ice time.
Danny Austin.
Mark, over the last couple of years, you've obviously sort of known realistically that TJ was going to be your partner. Does it change things mentally at all going into this camp, knowing that there are a couple possibilities in terms of how you approach it at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing for me is it looks like I'm probably going to be playing with a right-handed defenseman. So just getting used to obviously little tendencies, little things where you can throw the puck in different areas to righty, as far as how hard you can throw it and when you can, you know, forehand, backhand sort of things on that side. So that's the first thing that pops up. But then with every player, you know, there's always different little tendencies and different strengths and weaknesses. So it'll be good to get together to whoever I'm going to play with early in camp, obviously, and build some chemistry and get some of those inter squad games and all that sort of things. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit different to start, but you got to communicate and you got to get used to each other quick, because the season's, you know, a week and a half away.
And secondly, just looking across this Canadian division, there's some elite guys you guys are going to be going up against a lot. The Austin Matthews, the Connor McDavids. As like a non-professional athlete, that sounds exhausting. So I'm curious, does it get any easier playing those guys repeatedly and getting to know them on the ice a little bit?
No, it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. Yeah, that's the one thing. I think if you look, there's a lot of firepower in our division, a lot of offensive guys who can put the puck in the net. But I also look, you know, in the past, say, month or so of, you know, the depth that some of the teams like Montreal, even Ottawa have acquired a lot of veteran guys. And it seems to me like teams are trying to beef up and get grittier too. So I think it's going to be extremely competitive. But like you said, every team, you look across our division, every team has some top guns and you know, just like you said, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews are probably 2 of the highest scoring guys in the league, and they're both in our division. So we're going to have to find a way to deal with them.
Wes Gilbertson.
Hey, Mark, I'm not sure how much you've been around him yet in the informal skates or off the ice, but what are your first impressions of Jacob Markstrom, both as a goalie and a person?
Yeah, Marky's been here for, I want to say at least 3 weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks for sure. Skated with him a ton now, and the first thing you notice is how big he is. He's a big man in there. He covers a lot of net. There's not much net to see when he's in there, but the way he is athletically is unbelievable too. He gets side to side really quick. He he's been looking really good out there. So really looking forward to playing in front of him. He's a super competitive guy, it looks like in practice, which is always a nice thing to see. And off the ice, a lot like all our other Swedes, just a great guy and easy to get along with, easy to talk to. So really looking forward to having him on our side this year, and he looks great so far.
Ryan Leslie.
Gio, you just mentioned having Markstrom on your side this year. Conversely, the other way, Travis Hamonic looks like he's going to be a member of the Vancouver Canucks. And you've touched a little bit on the rivalry of the Canadian division. But can you believe just with how many former Canucks are with you and now him going the other way? Can we expect a bit of nastiness throughout this season? Fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's just going to be super competitive just because of the amount of games we're going to be playing against each other. And, the way it is with former teammates or guys you played with a long time, you never want to let them get the best of you. That's for sure out there. So it's going to be super competitive. I think, we have a bunch of guys who signed here or came here from Vancouver, and now seeing Hammer go the other way. So it'll be competitive. I don't think it matters once, friends off the ice, all that sort of stuff. Once the puck drops, you're super competitive, and it's going to be intense for sure.